This is Glow in the Dark Radio. The science fiction podcast, with original independent science fiction, written and performed by Mike Luoma, with music by Kevin MacLeod. The Vatican Assassin Trilogy and The Adventures of Alibi Jones by Mike Luoma are available in ebook, trade paperback, and audiobook wherever you find your books online. Get links and details at glowinthedarkradio.com. This is the Science Fiction Podcast, Glow in the Dark Radio. I'm your host, your writer, and reader, Mike Luoma. And I've got Chapter 15, Part 1 of Alibi Jones, the novel Alibi Jones, part of the Adventures of Alibi Jones Chronological Omnibus, which we are doing now on the podcast. So, Chapter 15, Part 1. Let me set it up for you. Alibi Jones, just discovered, an old alien enemy of humankind, thought long dead, the Eldred, are apparently very much alive, though those who would know say that these new ones seem more vicious. Those Eldred seem to be working for a now dead human, kidnapping people and doing horrific medical experiments and vivisections with Dmitri Masakov. Alibi found his old teacher, whose disappearance led to his discovery of all this, but she had already been experimented on, and begged for him to end her suffering. He did what he had to do. It was better news for Piccolo, who had joined Alibi's search for kidnappers, as he was looking for a woman named Katie he said was his sister. Katie was unharmed, but she was his quarry, not his sister. Piccolo was supposed to bring her back to a crime lord named Lavalure. Alibi denied Piccolo his bounty and took Katie under his protection. She's now staying with his aunt Anita, on Ceres Central. And she seems to be warming up to Alibi, too. After freeing Katie and the other kidnapped victims, they've headed back to Ceres Central, home base. Now everyone seems to be going their separate ways. Even Kit, the cat-like alien Dakur, Alibi's new friend, he thinks, says he's heading out. Is that it then? What now? Back to a new mediation gig? Back to work? Chapter 15 is a long one, so we're going to cut it in half. And even though there's kind of a lull, I don't think the story's over, or I wouldn't have this long a chapter. Yes, I know I wrote it, so I know these things, but just having my fun. So is it a lull? Is it over? Find out what comes next in Part 1 of Chapter 15 of Alibi Jones, on the way on Glow in the Dark Radio. Well, I gotta tell you, that was not the birthday or holiday I had hoped for when I took last week off. I went to Massachusetts a couple weeks ago Sunday. My birthday was Monday. And in the middle of Monday afternoon, I got a text saying there was a gas leak back at the duplex I own. And the oven wasn't working. This was in the tenant's apartment. So I called Vermont Gas, and they shut off the line to the oven. So I was going to have to get a new oven. I knew that at the time. But they also, in checking the gas lines for the house, discovered that the gas going to the upstairs, that gas line, a separate line from downstairs, was leaking right at the source, right just after the meter. On my side, of course. But they shut it off. There I was in Massachusetts, and they're shutting off the gas to the apartment, my apartment, where I have a couple of housemates. It took me until just this past Thursday, a week and a couple days, to get emergency service and get that fixed. Vermont Gas doesn't do it. They just send you to a page on their website with a list of contractors and phone numbers. Good luck. For the non-emergency stove, I'm not going to be able to get that in until December 19th. So, kind of a labor shortage here in Vermont as far as HVAC and other stuff goes. You really don't know or realize it until you need it, until you need to, call on somebody. So, yeah, if you're looking for a place, if you're in HVAC or whatever and looking for a greener pasture, maybe up here. I got to tell you, there's not a lot of you. So, yeah, my whole week that I thought was going to be, relaxing, having a birthday, and then Thanksgiving. No, none of that. It was just a stress test dealing with all this until just this past Thursday afternoon when I got that taken care of and we got the gas back on for my apartment. I'm still waiting on the stove downstairs, but they're okay for now. They got a good toaster oven and dealing. So, but wow, yeah. Not the holiday, not the birthday week I had hoped for, but thank you for letting me have a week off. All the same. But with all that in mind, I would like to once more encourage you to support independent creators like myself this holiday season. Books make great gifts. Of course, all my science fiction books are in paperback. The Vatican Assassin Trilogy, The Adventures of Alibi Jones, Chronological Omnibus, both those are nice hefty tomes. Almost look like Bibles when they're wrapped. And I've got some new stuff in print this year. A print copy of The Ancient World Around Us, which is 46, actually now 48. I added some bonus ones to the back. Had to even out the pages, so. That has been a PDF since about early 2022, I believe. But now it is available as a paperback. You can get that through Amazon. The Ancient World Around Us. Photos with descriptions on each photo, too. You can see the PDF on Amazon as well if you want to get an idea of what it looks like. I've also got the newly collected Alibi Jones Chronological Omnibus. The Chronological Omnibus collects all the comic book stories of Alibi Jones from all 3 of the issues and Always Punch Nazis Volume 2. There was a story that Juan Carlos Quartordio and I did for that special issue. And now that's collected in this. It should be available at Indie Planet soon. Not yet as I record, but should be available soon. At least the print version. You can get the guided view comic book version through Amazon. And I should mention there's a new edition of my Star-Lord and the Guardians of the Galaxy, The Comic Book Years, the unofficial comic book history. I put together a second edition of that one, new cover, freshened up the contents, and so that is available too. If you're interested in comic book history, the characters and what went into creating them, there's interviews with creators interspersed with summaries of what went on in the pages of the comic books. Now, because it's Marvel's property, there's no pictures. So this is a prose book, but it is the story of Star-Lord and the Guardians of the Galaxy in the comic books. The unofficial comic book history. So any comic book nerds and geeks would find that one entertaining, I believe. Of course, there's always my Ancient Stone Mysteries of New England. That paperback has been doing pretty well. Entirely different field, but may make for a nice gift. So that's what I'm saying. There are some potential gifts out there. And of course, if nothing that I have is appealing, you can always get it from somebody else, some other independent author, and make their day. My stuff is available everywhere, though, if you need my paperbacks. I mean, even Walmart carries my paperbacks now. Who knew? So, yeah, walmart.com. Bookshop.org, and Amazon and Barnes & Noble. They are all over the place. And you can find out more at my sites, too, at MikeLuoma.com and glowinthedarkradio.com. That's enough gratuitous self-promotion. I'll promote somebody else for a second here, and then we'll get into Chapter 15, Part 1 of Alibi Jones, next on Glow in the Dark Radio.
The Flesh Pulp Podcast. 3 to 10 minutes of fiction brought to you thrice weekly. 200 miles below the surface of the earth, at the terminus of a series of long sealed caverns and interconnected shrines, under the shadow of the eternally bleeding eye, there is a crippled wreck of a man writing tales, stories of a dimension engulfed in madness. He is writing them of you. Sing them all at fleshpulp.com or search for it on iTunes.
Now here's Chapter 15, Part 1 of Alibi Jones on Glow in the Dark Radio. Guess I'm available. I can go out on a mediation job if you've got one for me. Alibi finds himself telling Mbeke over the comm a couple of hours later. Katie's staying here with Aunt Anita. She's got security, should be safe.
Really? Mbeke comments. Well, good then. We'll be very glad to have you back. There is a negotiation to oversee on Cat's Eye. I will tell them the Mediation Corps' best man will be on the job.
Ah, shucks, you're just trying to make me feel better.
Maybe you should accept a compliment when one is given, eh? Mbeke admonishes him. I do not offer them lightly. I am sending you the case details now.
Thank you, Mbeke. Alibi out. Alibi Jones looks around his aunt's apartment as if he's missing something, but he can't put his finger on what. Katie walks into the room as he stands there in his daze. You look kind of lost, Katie says. I don't know, Alibi says. I guess I am. Who were you just talking to? Mbeke, the Pope. Katie laughs. Alibi finds himself smiling. It blows my mind. Still cracks me up that you know the Pope so casually. The Pope, she says, mimicking Alibi. Alibi shrugs. He's my boss, he explains, head of the Safe Mediation Corps. Yeah, Katie says, agreeing but still puzzled. But how come? Why is that? Why have the Pope head the Mediation Corps? Tradition, I guess, Alibi speculates. He doesn't know for sure. I never really thought about it all that much. Just the way it's always been, Yeah, but the Mediation Corps hasn't been around forever. It's only as old as you are, she says. A little younger even, Alibi admits. But it used to be called the Office of Papal Operations before the Solar Alliance, he explains. And that was around for a long time. My father used to work for the OPO. Your father? You haven't mentioned him much before, maybe not at all. What's he like? He's dead a long time ago. I never knew him, Alibi says. I'm sorry, Katie says. She leans into him. I didn't mean to bring up something that brings you down. She kisses him, and this time Alibi doesn't resist. They come up for air after a few minutes. Better? Better, Alibi confirms. He smiles. Actually, don't like talking about my father too much, he says, then adds, That doesn't mean I minded that kiss. He smiles and leans in to kiss her again. He holds her as she responds in turn. They break off again as they hear Anita unlocking the apartment's front door. I hear from Mbeke you've accepted a new assignment. I think that's good, Anita tells Alibi as she enters the room. News travels fast, Alibi says a little snidely. Regretting his tone, he adds more pleasantly, I'm leaving for Cat's Eye tomorrow morning. We'll have a big dinner here tonight then, Anita declares. Before you go. Great, Alibi says, trying to sound enthusiastic. Katie elbows him. I think it's wonderful. That'll be really nice, she says to Anita. I haven't had a real sit-down dinner in years. Well, you will tonight, Anita says with a grin. She clearly enjoys having the young woman to dote on. Then maybe you two can go out afterward, she says slyly. Aunt Anita, Alibi says in mock embarrassment. I think that sounds wonderful too, Katie says, looking over at Alibi with a grin.
Alibi's wand alarm sounds. Kit is on the comm. I see your ship listed for departure for Cat's Eye tomorrow morning, Kit says. Could I ride there with you? It is on my way, and I presume it will be easier to find transportation to Dakur from Cat's Eye than it is proving to be from here at Ceres Central, as I am discovering. That's fine, Kit. I'll be glad for the company, Alibi tells him. See you at the cruiser around 0900 hours, Ceres Central time. I will see you then, Kit confirms, and signs off. Alibi, Anita, and Katie enjoy a big dinner at Anita's apartment that evening. Anita arranged for some of the Ceres Central kitchen staff to cater the meal. Steaming piles of freshly carved turkey, boats of succulent gravy, a heaping bowl of stuffing, squash, green beans, and potatoes from the hydro gardens. Anita's gone all out. This is a Thanksgiving meal, Anita explains to Alibi and Katie as they eat, because we still have a lot to be thankful for, even if things don't always go our way. Alibi gets upset but holds it in. This is more than things not going his way, even if she can't see it. But it's done for now. The food is very good. Alibi tries to let go of his anger, shoveling another forkful of food into his mouth, chewing away his offense. Dessert is a warm pumpkin pie with vanilla ice cream. Katie has graded nearly every dish introduced with oohs and ahs. She lets out an, "Oh yeah," as dessert arrives. Anita smiles as she watches Katie enjoy her pie. Alibi finds himself smiling at the two of them as he chews and savors the flaky crust, spicy pumpkin, and cold, creamy vanilla ice cream. This has been very nice, Anita declares at the end of dessert, as their utensils and plates are cleared away. Thank you so much, Katie says to her, and thank you for giving me a place to stay. You're very welcome, dear, but I don't want you to think we eat like this every night, Anita cautions her with some humor. It's usually a quick dinner in the commissary. Thank you, Aunt Anita, Alibi says. Anita gets up from the table. I am full. Think I'm going to retire for the evening, Anita announces. But you two feel free to hang out as long as you like, she says, with almost a twinkle in her eye. Katie, dear, you make yourself at home, okay? I will, Aunt Anita, she says. Oh, I like that. You can call me Aunt Anita any time, dear, she says, chuckling, amused at Katie's use of the term. Good night. Good night, Aunt Anita, both Katie and Alibi say, almost in unison. She smiles and leaves them alone in the apartment's main room. Want to see my room? Katie asks Alibi after a brief moment of silence. Seen it before, Alibi teases. Used to be mine, remember? Want to see my room? Katie repeats, ignoring his teasing and giving him a second chance. Alibi jumps at it. Let's go see your room, he agrees, leaping to his feet and banging his knee against the table leg in the process. He doubles over as he rubs his banged-up knee. Wow, you are smooth, Katie says as she comes over to him. Come on, it's not that far to limp. He straightens up and leans on her for support, and because he can. They walk together to the bedroom. Katie closes the door behind them. It is a little weird, Alibi says, looking around the bedroom. I mean, I grew up in this room. Katie lifts the one-piece dress she's been wearing, up and off, over her head. She reaches over and lifts Alibi's shirt up. He raises his arm so she can pull it off him. Then she takes off her bra and slides off her panties, as Alibi unzips his fly and slips off his pants. They come back together, and their naked skin nearly crackles as they touch, body to body, nothing in between them for the first time. Alibi and Katie entangle each in the other and fall together onto the bed. It's morning in no time. Alibi isn't sure he slept much at all when he wakes up to his wand alarm. Katie is plastered to his chest with sweat, where she fell asleep after they made love late into the night. He slides out from under her, trying not to wake her up, and quietly enters the room's refresher to get ready for the day. Katie is up and awake, wearing the bedsheet around her like an old Roman toga when Alibi gets out of the refresher. Morning, sunshine, she says with a big grin. She comes up and crushes Alibi against the refresher door with an insistent kiss. When do you have to meet Kit and take off? She asks in his ear as she breaks off. In about 10 minutes. Too bad. She leans in again, and they spend at least half the time he has left in their embrace. I've got to go, he says as he pulls away. Got to stay on schedule. That sucks, she says. At least you've got something to look forward to when you come back, she points out, smiling. She frowns a little. How long will you be gone? It looks like a week, maybe 2, he tells her. It's hard to know for sure.
That's part of the negotiations this time. No end date. Katie sighs. No end date? No, but that's a good sign, Alibi explains to her. That means they're serious. It means their goal is a settlement, not an end date. End dates give sides an excuse to bail out of the proceedings. So it's good. Hope so. Alibi gets dressed, kisses Katie goodbye, and leaves his aunt's apartment for the Ceres Central Port. Kit is waiting for him next to his ship.
Alibi?
Kit greets him with a question. What?
You look different,
Kit says. I do, Alibi asks, puzzled. Different how?
I am not sure,
Kit says.
More relaxed, perhaps. Less tense.
Oh, Alibi gets it. Yeah, I'm a little more relaxed today than yesterday, he smiles. But then he darkens a bit. I'm still pissed about not finding the Eldred on that planetoid. Where did they go? And who are they working for now that Masakov is dead? The Tekta?
Ah, Kit says. Now you are sounding like the old Alibi.
So, Alibi asks as he opens the ship's airlock to let them on board, you still want to kill me?
I have never wanted to kill you,
Kit explains.
It is merely that I may have to kill you. Honor, tradition, these things may require it. But not today,
he adds, quasi-reassuringly. That makes today a good day then, huh? Alibi jokes as he seals the lock behind them. It's a quick jump from Ceres Central to Cat's Eye. Alibi lands his cruiser in his regular berth at the Cat's Eye port. It's handy to have the space at the ready, prepaid and waiting. Cheaper to rent a berth out here in the colonies than back in the solar system, but it's still out of Alibi's usual price range. He's lucky. The Safe Mediation Corps covers the costs of this one, as it's his home base.
I do not like this place,
Kit tells Alibi as they disembark the cruiser and begin to walk to the main terminal of the port. Why not? Alibi asks. He gestures up at the nebula in the sky above them. I love the eye in the sky. Isn't it beautiful?
I do not think I see it the way you do, Kit tells him, blinking rapidly. It bothers my eyes.
Really?
Really. You humans call we Dakur cats, do you not?
Alibi nods.
That makes the fact that I do not like to gaze at what you think looks like my eye somewhat ironic, if I understand what you mean by that word. We Dakur have a similar concept, Kit says.
So I guess you won't be spending too much time here then, huh? Alibi jokes.
I am going to try to book immediate passage back to Dakur space. There's a snacked outfit that provides service from here on a fairly regular basis,
Kit says. You know we humans shake hands to say a formal goodbye, right? Alibi asks Kit, extending his hand. Kit reaches out and wraps his paw around Alibi's hand.
I do, he confirms.
They shake hand and paw and start to go their separate ways.
Remember, if you need my help, you can call me. I would be glad to help you again, Kit says.
Likewise, Alibi tells the Catman. Good luck. Kit saunters off towards the snacked. Alibi walks out of the port and back into his normal life. He catches a transport over to his apartment, grabs a bite to eat, and looks over the files for his new assignment. The next day, Alibi dives into the negotiations. A human delegation is negotiating trade rights and Flay's space with one of their commercial delegations. Alibi trusts the Flays less after what Kit said took place after the negotiations he oversaw between they and the Dark Corps, but he grits his teeth and works through it. It only takes Alibi a week to get the sides together and work out the agreement. A further week of negotiations is required for the minutiae, but they do work it out, and Alibi is finally able to lead both sides to the signing table. Alibi gets so caught up in the negotiations, he doesn't have a chance to check back with Katie or his Aunt Anita for over a week. When his aunt calls on the eve of the signing, Alibi is shocked and stunned by her news. She's gone? He asks, feeling the bottom drop out of his stomach, and a flush of adrenaline and panic overwhelm his senses. Katie's gone? But I thought she was going to wait for me to get back. She said she would. I'm sorry, Allie, Anita says softly. She was fine at first, but she seemed, I don't know, restless, uncomfortable for the last week. Now she's just packed up and gone. We'd gone shopping, so she had some new clothes and things. They're all gone. Maybe I should have expected this, Alibi says, trying to figure out what he missed. Maybe I should have let her come with me. Really? Don't beat yourself up, Al. You shouldn't blame yourself. I doubt if her being there would have helped. You haven't called for over a week. I'm thinking you've been busy. How much time could you have spent with her, realistically?
And how could you have protected her? That lavalier probably has more people around there on Cat's Eye than back here on Ceres Central. That reminds me, have you seen Piccolo around? That bounty hunter? No, not at all. That's good, I guess, Alibi says. I just hope she's okay. Katie strikes me as a girl who can take care of herself, Anita reassures him. Did she say anything to you about why she was leaving? No, Al, she just left a note saying thanks for everything. Alibi doesn't know what to say. He wants to cry. His brain is disappointed at his heart. Weak organ, falling for the girl. Al? Anita calls over the comm. Sorry, Alibi responds. I thought we had gotten closer, you know? He feels like a dumb teenager. I know, honey, I know. When are you going to be done there? Tomorrow. We're supposed to have the signing tomorrow morning. I'm hoping the Flays don't back out. They've been grumbling. Say I'm favoring the human delegation. They've been threatening to file a complaint with the Corps. Are you favoring the human delegation? Anita asks. I don't think so, Alibi says, suddenly defensive. I'm sorry, I don't know. I really don't think I am. Then I'm sure you haven't, Anita says, trying to cheer up Alibi. I know you always do your best, Allie. Why don't you come back here after the signing ceremony? We can have another nice dinner, maybe. I don't know. I've got some dinner back here at my place here. Alibi, she says, stretching out his name as if scolding him. Okay, I'll come back there. We'll have dinner tomorrow night. How's that? Good. Good night, Al. Good luck tomorrow, Anita says. Good night, Aunt Anita, Alibi answers, signing off. Alibi can't sleep. He can't turn off his thoughts. His brain buzzes with questions. Why did Katie leave? Where could she have gone? What did I do? What could I have done? Somehow, Alibi makes it through the night to morning. He also makes it through the boredom of the signings without falling asleep on his feet. The Flays seem to have calmed down in their late protestations, although the leader of the delegation still makes some noise about filing an official complaint. But done is done, and Alibi has an official trade agreement between the two groups finished, with their signatures on it, by the middle of the day. Alibi heads back to his place on Cat's Eye. He takes a shower and changes into a fresh Mediator Corps jumpsuit for the trip back to Ceres. Feel like I'm just going through the motions. He powers down his apartment, locks it up, and heads for the Cat's Eye port, moving in a sort of tired, wired, cloudy haze. He's still beating himself up. If you open yourself up to the highs, you open yourself up to the lows. He thinks as he walks. I prefer the middle. Not too high, not too low. I don't know. Maybe it is a good idea to head back to Ceres Central. Feeling pretty useless here. As preoccupied as he is, Alibi almost walks right past a familiar figure that ducks into the shadows next to a warehouse as Alibi passes. Some part of his subconscious alerts him. Piccolo! Alibi stops, turns, and walks over to the shadows where Piccolo is trying to disappear among a handful of large shipping containers parked on pallets in front of the warehouse door. Piccolo, I saw you! I know you're here somewhere! Alibi shouts as he looks around the containers. Piccolo steps out from behind one of them. Okay, geesh! No need to yell, Piccolo says. Alibi, how are you? Been better, actually. You? Good, yeah, I'm good, You working? Alibi asks him, looking around at the shipping containers. Piccolo begins to look uneasy. Well, yeah, but I really can't talk. Shipping something for the boss? Alibi prods. You know I can't say anything about. These all yours? Alibi looks more intently at each of the shipping containers. Well, yeah, Piccolo stammers.
Hey, Piccolo, who's your friend?
A deep, throaty voice calls out from behind Alibi.
That was part 1 of Chapter 15 of Alibi Jones on Glow in the Dark Radio. Well, more happened than we thought might happen, eh? Alibi and Katie got it on, and apparently they've already broken up, so that was fast. Alibi Jones did get back into mediating, though, there on Cat's Eye, where the light bothers Kit's eyes. Ironic. Yep, I did that. Not a Dakura's favorite place, as it turns out. And now Piccolo is on Cat's Eye, in the port, with some suspicious packages. And Katie has disappeared. And someone just asked who Alibi was. Have to come back and find out what's going on in part 2 of chapter 15 on our next episode of Glow in the Dark Radio. I kind of like how the Thanksgiving meal showed up in that first part of the chapter. I had forgotten it was in there. And I was like, whoa, as I got to it, realized, hey, this is more timely than I had planned. Kind of a nice surprise as I was putting the episode together, since we had just gone past Thanksgiving. Timing! I could pretend I meant it, but yeah, I'm not that good. I suppose if I meant it, I would have had it run before the holiday. Looked wicked smart. Ah, well. But, even when there's a lull, Alibi Jones doesn't need to go looking for trouble. It tends to find him. And we'll find out who just found Alibi on our next episode. As far as book news goes, I just want to remind you, indie books make great gifts. glowinthedarkradio.com, MikeLuoma.com, just planting seeds. That is all for this week. I am your host, your writer and reader, Mike Luoma. Thank you for listening to Glow in the Dark Radio. Glow in the Dark Radio. This podcast presentation is copyright 2023 by Michael F. Luoma and is protected under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 International License, CC by NC-ND 4.0. Music by Kevin MacLeod. You can find his work at Incompetech.com. Mike's books are available in ebook, paperback, and audiobook, wherever you find books online. Get links and more details at glowinthedarkradio.com and mikeluoma.com. This has been a presentation of Glow in the Dark Radio.